Hello all. So in this video we are going to talk about one more control statement which is while loop. Okay. So basically while loop comes with the concept of looping in Python, right? So basically looping is like same concept that you might have learned in other languages like for example C, C++, Java, right? So in the same way we proceed with Python as well as far as looping statements are concerned. Okay, so you must be aware that looping is nothing but a process in which a set of statements is executed repeatedly until and unless a required condition is fulfilled, right? So, of course, there might be a scenario where the condition is not given, right? So, in all such cases, loop may also run for infinite times, right? So, this is something we call as infinite loop. So, basically, there are two types of loop, and like this is mainly for a while loop and for loop. There are two variants as well, which is like for else and while else. We will talk about that later in the like upcoming videos. Okay, so this video is particularly more focused on while loop. Okay, so let's start with the working of while loop. So basically it provides us the utility to execute a particular set of statements repeatedly until a required condition is fulfilled. So if you see the syntax, it's while conditions statements. So as I said, like conditions can be anything. It can be an expression. It can be even a single value. Okay. So let's try to implement it in the more straightforward way. Okay. So what if I want to print? You can say that if I want to print accounting from 1 to 10, what I will do? One, two, three. Let's keep it till five only. Four, print five. Okay, so let's now try to run this. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so now when someone asked us to write a algorithm to print the counting from 1 to 5, we wrote the five statements, print statements, denoting the counting from 1 to 5. But do you think that is this the optimized way of doing this operation? No, it isn't, because the thing is that you are repeatedly doing the same thing, and that too for smaller test case, right? What if someone wants you to print the counting from 1 to 1000? You are not going to write the print statement 1000 times, right? So to solve all these problems, we have the concept of looping in Python. So as I discussed earlier, like looping is also of two types. One is for and the other one is while. So let's see how we can do this using while loop. So we need this while keyword. So keywords are reserved words that provide specific meaning to a interpreter to an interpreter, right? So while I is 100, right, is less than 100, or we can write as equal to. Then what we have to do is we have to write print I. Okay. Okay. So now let's define this I equals to 1. Okay. So what we have done is we have first initialized I with 1, and then we are running it with a while loop, right? So this is our condition while I is less than 100, and within that we have a print statement which is printing the value of I. So let's try to run this. Okay, so it is running infinite times. So this is more of a infinite loop. This is because of the reason that I is 1 all the time. It is neither decrementing nor incrementing. So just to meet this condition, we have to increment the value of I as well. So we can do this I is 1. Okay. One thing you need to understand, like if you are from C++, C or Java background, that this plus plus operator or this minus minus operator, right? That we call as post increment, post decrement, or pre increment or pre decrement, right? So this syntax is not valid in Python. So if you want to increase the counter, you have to do it in this way. Okay. So this is the way of doing this. Okay. So now let's try to run this, and of course my program is running. I just want to stop it. Okay. So now let's run it one more time. So now you see that we are now able to get the counting from 1 to 100. So now this is how a loop works. So basically there is a you can say that process. First is like initialization, right? Then this is the condition, which is defined within the while loop. Okay. And then this is like some of the operations. Okay. And then this is the increment. We can also decrement it if you want to uh, print it in the reverse order, right? So this is the operation. Okay. So this is the one thing. Okay. All right. All right. So now, as you see that this output is like being displayed in the union lines. Now, what if I want to do it in a single line? So there is something, some special statement which is like end. So this is something that I've already mentioned here, that the end parameter in the print function is used to add any string, right, at the end of the output of the print statement in Python. So by default, it's the new line. Okay, so we have to define it. So if I do it with an empty string, so what it will do, it will simply print the counting in a single line, and that too without any space. So just to like make it more clean, I will just give one space. Okay, now let's try to run this. Now you can see the counting is just being displayed on a single line from 1 to 100. So this is one of the implementation that we have done using while loop. Of course, there are a number of applications that we can use while working with while loops. This is just one of them. Okay, so if we just refer to the nodes, so yeah, there are some of the fun facts about Python while loop. So one of the main things, like Python allows the concept of nested while loops. So this means that we can nest one more while loop or even a number of while loops within this. Uh, you can say that within this operation. Okay. So we want other operations to happen, say two times. Okay. Let's print hey. Okay. So now what it will do, it will simply print hey. Of course, I will just end here itself. Okay. Yeah. So now, of course, we have to increment this. Okay. So since now at this point of time j is not defined, so we have to initialize it with value. So I'm starting it with one. Okay, let's do it one. Okay. So this while loop will run two times. Okay. Let's see how it goes. Okay. Yeah. So every time it is running two times. Okay. So this is basically the outer loop, and this is our inner loop. Okay, so we have nested while loops concept defined over here. Okay, so what it does, like for every value of I till 100, it is running j twice. Okay, great. So that's how it is printing one, hey hey, two, hey hey, three, hey hey, and so on to 100. Okay, so this is the case. One thing you have to notice, like we have defined this j equals to 1 within the outer loop, right? If we try to do it outside the outer loop, so what will be the output? Let's see. Okay, so it's just like only one times this hey hey was printed, and I will tell you the reason. Because j is 1 here, so for I equals to 1, our j became our j started from j equals to 1 and ran it from 1 to 2. Okay, so now by the point of I equals to 1, j at last became 2, and since then there was no update to this condition. So whenever our loop or you can say that our control like entered for I equals to 2, j was in fact 3 itself at this moment of time. Okay, so this condition became false, and hence we were not able to see this hey string for 2 to 100 counting. Okay, so that's why you have to ensure that if you are using nested loops, make sure, until unless it is like your business logic, make sure you include it within the outer loop, the initialization of the second inner loop. Okay, the second loop, which is the inner loop. Okay, so yeah, this will work out in our case. Okay, so now quickly hopping out to the next thing, next fact. So we can use for loop inside while loop and vice versa. So that's quite evident. Like we can use for loop within while loop or while loop within a for loop. We can also form different chains as well with this concept. Okay, so there is one new thing, that is we do have the concept of while else loop in Python as well. So yes, I have like created a detailed video on this while loop concept. Sorry, while else loop concept. You can just refer to that video. Okay, so while loop also supports the range function. Range function is something that we have discussed in other videos. So yeah, that's it. So basically, how this thing is working is like, firstly, Python interpreter looks out for the condition. If the given condition is true, then it will execute all the statements inside the loop. Once all the statements get executed, it will go back and check the condition again. It will keep doing so as long as condition remains true. And when this condition gets false, control is sent out of the loop. So this is what we just saw using our code. Okay. So that's all in this video. This is all about illustration about while loop. So there are different applications to while loop as well that we will be touching it in the upcoming videos. That's all in this video. See you in the next lecture. Thanks.